Welcome back to the Phillies Boardroom, where we are touching base on the last 2 weeks of your Philadelphia Phillies. This is Dave, and as always, joined by co-chairman of the board, Tom. Tom, what's going on?
What's going on, Dave? We're in the actual boardroom today.
The boardroom of the boardroom. Yeah. Yeah, really exciting. Going to be a good night. A lot of fun. It's a really good setup that we have here, and we have a special guest with us today. We're really excited about talking with him and getting into some conversations, and he'll be joining us throughout the show. But want to introduce Phillies Maestro, Bryan Anderson.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah, welcome aboard.
Good to be here.
So, Bryan, you are the organist for the Philadelphia Phillies. You play at Citizens Bank Park. How long have you been doing that now?
This is my third season. Yep, so halfway through my third season.
Okay.
So if my math is correct, you started before the 2022 season?
I did. I mean, I like to claim as myself being the luck charm, but I mean, things did turn around. I've been pretty spoiled. Yeah, it's just been an incredible run since I came on board. So
you are the good luck charm.
I feel like you can take credit for that. Yeah.
So give us some background on yourself, like how this kind of came about, how you got started with them, like how it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, so I've been a Phillies fan since, as long as I can remember. Grade school age was huge into Little League and baseball. My family and I we had partial season tickets at the Vet.
Okay.
Me, my father, my brothers. So we lived through some tough Phillies years in the 80s and up until 93. It was and then after 93 there were some rough years, but
they had some good organ years though.
Really good organ years, and that's
great
probably,
music during that time.
Yeah, Paul Richardson was the organist at that time, and I started playing the piano when I was 4 years old, and played all the way through high school and beyond. And never really put the two together. It's like I'm at a Phillies game. I love baseball, and man, this guy's playing like this cool music. And this little like compact keyboard. I was never like, I want to do that. It was just like, these are two cool things.
Yeah.
And, long story short, so I've toured with bands over the years, I guess since I graduated graduated college.
We are?
Yeah, that's right, Penn State.
Yeah.
We have a third of Penn State. We don't exclusively have Penn State guests. Anyone's welcome, but today.
It's always great when we have a fellow Penn Stater on.
Yep. So after Penn State, toured with some bands. I've been touring these last 6 years with a yacht rock band. You guys know what yacht rock is?
My wife's here, and she just looked at me. I absolutely love yacht rock.
All right, cool. We'll have to get you out to see. We're going to be at the Colonial later this year.
I love it.
Yep.
I listen to it all the time,
no kidding.
Especially when I mow the grass. It gets me in the zone. It's weird.
It definitely gets you in a certain spot.
It's very calming and just
it is
zen for me.
So the last 6 years I've been touring with that band, and the sound engineer for our band also happens to be the sound engineer for the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, and the Eagles.
Oh, wow.
So I think, the way he tells it is maybe over the last 5 years or so, they've been kind of, kicking around the idea, is there an organist? Is there someone we can maybe bring in? There hasn't been anyone there since Paul Richardson, other than a couple of retro nights. I think they brought some local guys in. So we started talking, I guess, about 4 years ago, and it started out mostly recorded. It's still somewhat heavily recorded stuff, but we're constantly adding to the library. I record stuff right here locally. And now, the live stuff's starting to build a little bit more too. So that's kind of how it came to happen. A lot of luck. Yeah,
that's
very
amazing.
lucky.
Very interesting and very, very, very cool gig that you have.
There's
awesome.
multiple people when I would go out and talk about this, like with a couple uncles, they'd be like, "Oh, like does he know Paul Richardson?" Like everybody still remembers that guy.
Absolutely.
And now you're taking the reins.
Yeah,
Big shoes.
I don't know. It's,
As you're here with custom Phillies Maestro shoes, though.
Right.
Yeah, soon it's going to be, do you know Bryan Anderson?
That's exactly it. At Phillies Maestro on Twitter, too, if you're following along.
All right, so you've been a Phillies fan for your whole life, like you said.
Absolutely.
Who would you say is your favorite Phillies player of all time?
Man, that's tough. If I had to pick one, I would probably go Roy Halladay.
Okay.
I originally was like skewing old, but then I was thinking new, but somewhere in the middle there, I mean, the guy was just perfection every time. It was just something to see, and I've never seen anyone more locked in.
Literally perfection.
Perfection, and just locked into his job. Like, I've never seen a guy more focused in my life.
Yeah.
And all those stories where, like, and no matter how early someone got there, he's doing laps around the stadium. It's crazy.
Insane.
And the same way, like, I feel like Zach Wheeler does now, just picks up the rest of the staff. It's not pressure, but it's like almost like makes it the norm.
Totally.
If you didn't go 9 innings, those guys were like, "Oh, you had a bad outing."
Yeah, he was always going 9 innings. That's the biggest difference between that squad and that rotation and this rotation. It's just baseball's changed so much over the past 10, 12 years. But
different times, but there's not really any guys like Halladay left that are like, you go to take him out and he just says no.
Yep.
Just stays.
Zach definitely has a lot of Roy Halladay in him for sure. Yeah.
So, might be Zach Wheeler, but who's your favorite player right now on this team?
I mean, this season, I'm just in awe of Ranger Suarez. I mean, he's just his growth and his what's the word I'm looking for? His projection is just like straight up. His demeanor. I mean, even in these last 2 years, when he wasn't pitching at this level, he had the demeanor of someone who was pitching at that level.
Nothing gets to him.
The coolest guy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I think
the little toss in the World Series.
Oh my God, I'm just jealous of the guy. Like, to be on that stage and be that cool. It's just, I think we all want a little bit of Ranger Suarez. You know?
Producer Jeff's family is are big fans too. They just named their new dog after Ranger.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, he's a very good boy. So you sought out this gig with the Phillies
No, so
with that connection?
yeah, so through our connection, he reached out and said they're looking to, do something. And they asked him, "Do you know anybody?" He said, "Well, I do know someone," because he was, mixing my band for the last several years. So then it became kind of a trial. You're just recording some things, and primarily I'm really more of a piano player than an organist. You kind of really can't do one or the other, but it is a little bit different.
Can you explain the difference? A
Yeah,
little bit?
sure. So a piano, acoustically, if you hit a piano note and you just kind of put your hands up, it's going to ring out, almost like if you strum an acoustic guitar. Whereas an organ, you have to hold that note down to keep it playing. And the second you lift your hand off, there's no more acoustic presence. And the other thing is there's no what they call velocity. So if you hit a piano soft and you hit a piano hard, you hear the difference in the dynamics. Organ is one or the other. It's all on or it's all off.
Huh.
Did not know
and
that.
you have a rotating speaker. There's a lot of different things. And I've played organ, in my life, but we were just kind of looking for a way. When they initially asked me, my thought was, well, how do I honor something that's very traditional Americana? It's baseball, the organ, but also maybe give it something that's, a little fresh.
More modern twist to it.
More modern, yeah. So that's when we kind of got into I think what started it was, it was right after the big Super Bowl halftime show where they had Dre and Snoop and those guys.
Yeah,
and they decided 90s was going to be their theme. And they said, can you do, what was the Dre song?
And the millennials became retro.
Exactly. Exactly. And they said, can you do, what's the, I can't think of it right now, the big Dre song.
I forgot about Dre.
Is it still Dre? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
Still Dre.
Still Dre.
Next episode?
Yeah,
Still Dre.
Resident Dre fan Colin over there.
Was it still Dre? I think it was still Dre.
Fine, we have computers here, I think.
And should I wait?
Nah, you're good, man.
Yeah, it's okay.
So they said, can you do this? And I laid it down on the organ, and it was okay. But I'm like, you can't do Dr. Dre without like a big beat under it. So I laid it down, and then we played it over the ballpark and PA system, and they were like, this is something right here. So, and a lot of people were like, oh, well, you're the first person to add a drum beat to the organ. I really wasn't. Like, even in the 70s and 80s, Paul Richardson, all those guys, those older organs had built-in drum beats. They were a little cheesier sounding. It was like the electronics and audio wasn't the same as it is now.
You can take credit for that still.
I'm an innovator.
Yeah.
No, but really, I mean, that stuff had been done, but I think what we're doing is just a more realistic kind of a drum beat. We're getting more involved with loops, and just really trying to push the envelope, but not too far. We want to keep the tradition intact. Yeah. So we're trying to walk that line.
All right, I got a question back to your beginnings, and so you have this connection. They reach out to you. You guys are going back and forth. I'm assuming they probably asked you for a reel. What was your go-tos? Was it Dre, or did you?
I think initially it started out. It was what we call as like prompts. So prompts would be the stuff you hear during an at bat. Something that prompts the audience to clap or say charge or whatever. We started with that, and then it was like, all right, well now let's get into some like, covering modern songs on the organ. And Dre was one that came up. I think just because we knew that year the 90s was going to be a big theme for the Throwback Thursdays.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started.
We both have partial ticket package. I'm an absolute puppet in your hands when I'm at the stadium. If you tell me to jump, I'm like. It's cool though, and I mean, since you get in there in 2022, probably because of you, it's been pretty full. It's been electric. I think like even a day game on a Tuesday, it's like it's got to be cool to watch.
It's really cool. I mean, it's just super lucky that I hopped on when the team was at just an absolute, really on the incline,
the trajectory
to greatness. Yeah, it's been super fun. Very lucky. Yeah.
So you record a lot of it, right? But you do play live sometimes. What's kind of the mix?
Yeah, the mix. So I'd say it's grown over the years. Right now there's not really any rhyme or reason to it. Last year we did our first kind of Ashburn Alley live type of thing, which was really cool. It was September. It was the Mets. It was a little cold. So
got the people moving.
Yeah, it was just fun to be out, and people are kind of they're here and they're looking over and they're like, okay, they're putting like the things together.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, and we're gonna do more of that this year, where I'll be out there in Ashburn. Hopefully, it won't be 105 degrees like it was last week.
Yeah, you have another one coming up, right?
I do. Yeah. So 2 weeks. It'll be July 11th.
Okay.
Against the Dodgers, which is already a hot ticket.
That's a Thursday night?
Thursday night. It's at 6 o'clock. It's a little bit of earlier start. And they have tons of cool stuff going on. I think it's an 80s band. Because it's Chick-fil-A 80s night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right up my alley.
Chick-fil-A 80s night.
It's right into the yacht.
Everybody wins. Yeah. Yep. So there's an 80s band playing.
So you'll be out there the whole game? Or
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
So I usually play 30, 40 minutes before the game. And then pretty much everything else you hear otherwise, like what we call like a bumper, which is like, every half inning, and then stuff in between, and then a little bit at the end of the game. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
I a lot of times don't make it out of K-Lot 30 minutes before, but if I'm there that game, I'm
You'll
there.
have to stay.
Yeah.
Well, it's an early start, so
that's that's probably already sold out. That series is gonna be electric. That's the last game too, right? July 9th, 10th, 11th.
Game,
I think it's the 9th, unless there's an off day.
It could be either way. I think we play the A's on the 12th. So, yeah, I think that's the last game of the Dodgers series.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot ticket. Otani's coming in and the whole thing,
So if you're out there, go say what's up to Bryan, the Phillies Maestro.
Please come by, say hi, heckle me.
So you record a lot at home. How is it kind of – and then you do some live shows like we just talked about. Like during the games that you're recording, it's like how is it selected what song's going to be playing at what times, and how does that kind of mix together?
We kind of have a format. Right after the third out and a half inning, you'll hear the organ, and then it'll usually switch to the DJ. So you kind of get a little bit of both there. That's pretty much the format since I've came in. It works out pretty well. You want to give like a little something for everybody. You know what I mean? Right. Some people it's just baseball touches such a large group of people, right? Which is the great thing about it. All ages, people from all walks of life, and you're getting some people are there to hear the DJ, some people are here to hear the organs, some people here, play the games on Fanavision. So it's a little bit of something for everybody, and so the format's kind of stayed the same, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I'm
laughing because he said that like it's some things for somebody. My Uncle Bob despises when they tell him to get loud. He's like, we're Philadelphia. We know when to get loud. You don't have to tell us.
We need somebody to tell us when to get loud.
He's like, that's for Washington. That's not for us. like, I think most of the crowd is loving it. But
Right.
also from Springfield, I know you're a Delaware County guy yourself, but we wanted to do a little segue in here to where we're at in the boardroom because you're from this area. You just gave us a little story offline.
Yeah.
That, like, this is not your first time in this building.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Delco as well. I was born in Delco. My family moved to Chester County when I was about 8. And what's crazy, and when you guys told me about the podcast and your partnership with the Boardroom, I was like, man, this is just like meant to be because the reason
world, right?
it's really small. So the reason we moved to Chester County is my dad got a job in management at the Phoenixville Steel Company, which used to be right where we're sitting, and this was his office. So as a kid, I mean, I was like running around this building,
That's wild.
take your kid to school. Yeah, now
That's truly
it's a very cool
like
restaurant. So
full circle moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not even from Phoenixville originally, and I was from like Malvern, Westchester area, but been in Phoenixville 20 years now. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So
Yeah, you can still see on a lot of the glass Phoenixville Steel Company. This was like their main office building.
yeah,
That's insane.
really
yeah.
crazy.
Phoenixville has grown and changed so much too in that time.
It's nuts. Yeah,
It's at a great moment in its history right now.
it really has. I mean, I got in, I think, kind of right before that transition happened, and it's just been crazy to see the change. Yeah.
So you could take credit for that too, then.
Absolutely.
Phoenixville,
I mean,
Phoenixville turned
I
around.
wanted
right
my
when you got
house
here.
value to increase, substantially. So
Oh yeah, the bank thanks you already. Yeah.
right.
So we got Chris here. Pat couldn't make it. He's a little sick, a little flu going around. But yeah, I wanted to. Pat's like from Buffalo. His dad is like a Phillies fan. That was a whole story. We'll get him next time. But we got Chris, another great Phillies fan.
What's up, guys?
We share our Sunday packages. Chris never makes the games. But let you give a little shout out here to the Boardroom. Thanks for the cheese tray.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we're getting this cheese tray like on that side of the table in a couple minutes because
Everybody can
no
pick
one's
at
eating at this, and I
It
want
looks
people
too
to eat.
good. It's pristine.
You got it. Someone's
Did a
got to
great
take the
job
first
with
bite
the,
at least.
Great job with it.
So yeah, man, just honestly, we thank you guys every week. You sponsored us for this whole season. Everybody's rocking the shirts. We look like we're starting a cult. But the shirts are sweet. And that's thanks to the Boardroom. And thanks, you guys are welcoming us here. So what do you got going on this summer?
Yeah, appreciate it, Tom. We're doing a lot of cool things here at the Boardroom. We've doubled the size of our patio recently. We got live music every Friday and Saturday. We're a scratch kitchen, one of the only in town. So come out and get some fresh food, fresh charcuterie, oysters, seafood, things like that. Before I even worked here, it's my favorite place in town. They kind of reeled me in, and now I'm hooked. It's the best place in town. So that's a really cool story that you used to be here.
Crazy history.
I was going to give you a tour, but I kind of want you to give me the tour and like show me all the secret rooms and stuff.
It's very different, but it's very cool.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, we appreciate you guys. We love the podcast.
We
I
appreciate
do have one
you.
question. Who was your favorite walk-up song of all time?
Wow. I don't know a favorite, but if you guys remember the original Chase Utley walk-up song, it was the Seven Flags commercial.
Before
before he went to Zeppelin,
Oh, good question.
which is crazy because you wouldn't have thought Chase Utley would have had this walk-up.
from the old guy dancing
Yes.
commercial? No, I don't
that
remember
was
that
his
at all.
original walk-up song.
Really? The Six Flags?
I mean, yes. That's it.
I guess I never really realized that either.
That was his original song. I mean, thank God he changed it. I mean, nothing wrong with that song, but it just didn't fit him. Then he went to Kashmir. Which
Yeah, the
is,
Cashmere's pretty iconic.
mean-
Can you imagine? Yeah, the World Series entrances.
Yeah, you got to check that one out on YouTube. Yeah.
Love that.
Didn't know that. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
it.
Appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
so much.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, and the patio does look great. Like, they did a great job with the addition here, and the food's obviously always amazing, and
New couches.
great drinks as well.
All right, so let's get into a little bit of the Phillies. We usually do a little business review. Obviously, you can hang out. You watch probably more than us, so.
Yeah. So we'll kick it back into gear here with some more recognition. Obviously, I want to thank the Boardroom and the staff here, but everybody who's joined us today, as well as producer Jeff for the remote setup. and obviously for Bryan for joining us as well.
Don't forget Stango.
Yes. And some other recognitions of note. Brandon Marsh's sister, Erin, is in the
Dave.
Olympic trials. I don't know if she actually...
The way you said that.
What? How'd I say
Your
it?
wife is right there, bro.
No.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
She is competing for the heptathlon.
Yeah, very cool.
Don't really know what's all involved in that, but obviously a very athletic family.
It was when I saw the interview with her, it was kind of very crazy because like she has the same exact face as Brandon Marsh without a beard. I don't know if you saw it.
She
It's
looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It threw me off. Like he might have just have shaved his beard and went into
Yep.
the Olympic trials.
Absolutely.
Well, he was also a crazy receiver in high school football. Like he was getting
believe that.
recruited for college. Like he's super athletic.
Saw a catch
So,
he had last week.
Yeah, very athletic family. Also want to recognize some champions. Tennessee College, University of Tennessee, World Series champions.
Yeah, good for you, Vols.
Yeah, and then the Celtics, NBA champs. Usually we want to talk about them here in a Philadelphia-related podcast, but we do have something interesting of note there, Tom.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick because obviously we hate the Celtics, but the last time they won was in 2008, and also they lost the championship in 2007.
Wow.
No.
2022.
2022.
Okay.
So the last time they won was 2008. They lost the championship in 2022. Who else lost a championship in 2022
Yep.
and also won a championship in 2008?
It's
Your
all
Philadelphia
lining up
Phillies.
now.
It's all lining up. And then also quick NBA note. My boy Max, he's going to be playing the All-Star Celebrity Game. I thought that was cool.
Softball game. It's a lot of fun.
What are you saying?
All right.
Shout out Florida Panthers.
Yeah, we're getting shout-outs for the
whatever.
Stanley Cup, Florida Panthers, too. I don't watch
I
hockey.
was cheering for Edmonton.
All right, and also want to recognize Phillies fans. There was a note the other day, a Monday night game in Detroit was the first game that they had played in front of a crowd of under 30,000 people in the past 42 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Baseball's back. Baseball's back in a big way here in Philadelphia, and the crowds are flocking. The fans are flocking to the stadiums, both home and away, and we'll talk a little bit about that throughout the show. But also around All-Star voting, they're showing up in droves. Five votes a day for All-Star voting. It closes on the 30th, I believe. But we are doing really, really well. So we have, I think, six of 9 players could potentially make it in the next round of All-Star voting just because of how many fans are voting for them throughout. Obviously, very well deserving for most of them as well. But it's been crazy to see just the numbers come out for voting for our guys in the All-Star game.
Could be a major league record, I heard. Most players, possibly.
Oh,
Really?
I forget what the number was.
We're trying to
of
beat the
players.
Braves from last year because they had a
No,
boatload
they had
too.
a ton.
Is Bohm still ahead of Otani? That's a wild.
No, Bryce is actually the leading vote getter now.
Okay.
Yeah, which
That's
makes
awesome.
It makes sense. So yeah, Bryce and Bohm definitely the top 2 on the team from as far as votes go. But there's a real chance that we're going to have a very, very big showing this year at the All-Star game, and hopefully I would love to see either Bryce or Schwarber try and go after the home run derby again. But I don't know if they'll do that.
Dude,
A lot of players usually don't
throw
go
Bohm.
back.
Throw Bohm out there. He's got like no.
Bohm
home
has
runs,
the potential, and that's why we gave him the objective of
like the way
25
Hoskins,
home
yeah.
runs. But he hasn't hit as many this year, but that's okay.
or Schwarber, since he's probably not
Yeah,
gonna.
when did Schwarber do it? It was like 3-4 years ago?
22.
22.
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
When is All-Star break? That's
Coming up July 16th is the All-Star game.
Okay, so a little after your show. So
Yep.
that's gonna be a fun All-Star weekend.
It'll be a lot
More
of fun.
so than
I'll
we
be
had
very
for, like,
excited
10
to watch.
years, yeah.
For the first time in 10 years, yeah. All right, industry update. Really, the theme of this one is around the Mets, and 2 reasons. One, Edwin Diaz is back. Well, he was. Not for long.
Anymore.
He has some sticky stuff on his hands, so he's been suspended for 10 games.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, and
We talk about him every episode in some capacity.
yeah, I've been kind of tooting my horn that, dude. You get that?
See what you did there.
Ever since the playoff game where they tried to bring him in down a run in the like 7th or 8th, and it's dead. The trumpets are dead, and apparently he can't pitch without sticky stuff. Because I didn't even realize that until I think it was on Kirkchen's pod, Timmy Kirkchen, where Diaz being out all of last season. This is the first season he's pitching with illegal stickies, with the checks and with the pitch clock.
Yep.
He's been horrible.
He's been doing it for much longer than
But
this
anyway,
year.
but the Mets have been on a little hot streak ever since
11 of 13, all because of Grimace.
Yeah.
All you McDonald's fans out there know who Grimace is.
Dude, that's honestly, I hate the Mets. We're an anti-Mets podcast, but that storyline's pretty awesome.
It's a hilarious
Yeah.
storyline.
Ever since Grimace,
They'll hang on to anything. But
I mean, like our fans wouldn't go crazy with that. We'd have people in the fans dressed as Grimace if we were going. Ever since Grimace came out and threw a first pitch, they started winning. So everyone's like, "Oh, it's Grimace."
yeah. And they're I mean, obviously, obviously
the
they're
big giant
playing well.
purple. Yeah.
Obviously, they're playing well. I think they're right at 500 now, and really only about a game back from the wild card.
Yeah, it's wide open. They put themselves right in it, which is crazy.
Yeah, the NL wild card is wide open, and it's really all of 2 teams in the National League that are divvying for a spot right now. Let's see, you got the Rockies and the Marlins, who are 13 to 14 games back. You can basically count them out. But then it goes to the Cubs, who are only 4 games back as of last night. Pretty crazy how tight it is in the National League.
Yeah, we have a big series coming up with them, July 4th weekend. What do you think about us being in control now compared to the last 2 years?
It's a crazy spot to be in, right? It's just like we kind of flew under the radar, and now everyone's has a target for us. It's definitely different.
We don't have that like stepping stone accelerator of sweeping the wild card, and then we're on the other side of the rest versus Russ now.
And then the Negadelphian Philly fan in me is like, we're going to have a bye week and we're going to get cold. And
Waiting for it to fall apart. Yes. We've talked about that. This is how we are. We're like, we can't just appreciate it for what it is and how good we're playing and like embrace it for this moment, because these are few and far between, honestly, especially for us. Let's be honest. We got to embrace it now and enjoy it now, but it naturally, just because of how we've been beaten down over the years, we just kind of go back to it.
I couldn't agree more. Plus, like, then you're just wishing your summer away and everything. I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy. It's not even 4th of July yet. Let's just enjoy this ride. You know?
Oh, no way. If we don't win the World Series, I'm going to have to, like, take off work for a week. But it's so true, because these last 2 seasons, it's like, same old business. We'll crush through the wild card. All of a sudden, we're the hottest team. And then crush through the Braves. But it's like, no, like it's not normal.
I think the script's going to be a little different this year.
Yeah.
And
it's still going to be a little
favor.
anxious watching that wild card, though. Like, oh, crap, this team looks hot.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I think we smoke any of these wild card teams.
All right, your favorite time here, Tom. Let's get down to business.
To defeat
the Huns.
I thought we were all doing
That was the first time anybody jumped in. All right, I appreciate that. Tom just laughs. He never does it.
I just don't know it, to be honest.
And he didn't do anything. All right, Paul.
Can we try again?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see.
Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns.
The Huns.
Oh, the Mets. I like that. Oh, there's an idea.
That's why Jeff gets the big bucks.
All right, so safety. Unfortunately, we have a good amount to talk about, but let's start with the good news first. Trey and Marsh both came back over the last 2 weeks and are both honestly settling back in pretty nicely, especially Marsh yesterday. He was struggling there for a bit, but he turned it on, flipped the switch yesterday, it looks like.
Yeah, he looked great. 4 hits, right?
4 for 4.
Had a beautiful
Homer.
Catch at center field.
4 RBIs.
The game before, yeah.
Yeah, so it's great to have them back, obviously. And another guy that we're hoping to have back here in the next couple of weeks, right around the All-Star game, soon after is what the rumors are out there for the 19th. JT. JT seems to be rehabbing well, seems to be progressing well based on what he says.
It's been nice getting a little look at the other 2 catchers, too, in the meantime. Marchand hitting both sides of the plates. I mean,
he's been good. He's a really good defensive catcher. I didn't realize how good he was defensively.
Yeah, that's what a lot
And he's
of them
been
were saying.
pretty good offensively.
And he's
too.
hitting. Yeah.
He's hitting well.
I
He's
don't
hitting
think
better than
they-
Stubbsy, but
Absolutely.
And I feel like if he wasn't there, like him and Stubbs kind of going back and forth, maybe playing for next season's backup role, kind of
Totally.
elevated both each other.
Yep.
And then Cody Clemens, we haven't talked about him in a while, but he's been a favorite at different parts of the season. He's still down in AAA, currently rehabbing. It'll be interesting to see when he's ready to go, when they kind of try to bring him back up, what room they try and make for him. It's packed house right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll wait and see how things kind of play out. And then of more recent note, some injuries around pitchers, and both are tied at the hip to each other. Taijuan Walker out for on the 15-day IL for a quote-unquote blister.
Yeah,
Call it a
I-
red hot spot
I
on
think
his finger.
Thompson said probably it would be like 6 weeks.
For Taijuan?
Yeah, right? Isn't that what he came out to?
6 weeks was for.
For Turnbull, who's
yeah,
also
yeah,
been put
yeah.
out there. I think
Sorry, take my
Taiwan
seat.
Taiwan might come back a little earlier potentially,
the
Right,
10
Taiwan
day?
had a blister, yeah.
but it really depends on now with Taiwan out and Turnbull now out as well, who's going to be Taiwan's replacement. Michael Mercado, who came up when Taiwan went down, and he put him in the bullpen. He pitched pretty well, but he's going to be the starter, as per Rob Thompson, hot off the press as of about an hour and a half ago.
But it's the situations like this where it's like now all that time where we were the least used bullpen in baseball. Okay, well now we got this kid Mercado who might only give you 3, 4, 5, but you have the most rested bullpen in baseball that's been crushing all season. So
Yep.
it's kind of
So-
not. Yeah,
Yeah. And something interesting here with
Long
the,
season.
the Turnbull timeline 6 weeks from now. It's going to be right in the heat in the summer, mid-August, right? That's right around the time when we had Lorenzen come through, right? We had the trade deadline. We had a little bit of a I still am a fan of the six-man rotation, and I bet you they're going to probably try and do something with that, especially going into the postseason to kind of see who's getting worn out, give them a little bit of a break. I know
Yeah.
some people aren't
getting some
fans of
no's,
that.
We're getting some yeses.
But it could be possible, and if it happens, then I'm a genius.
My other buddy who was was gonna come. He's a big fan of the 6-man rotation, and I mean in recent history it's been used in a way, but when you get into the later
Usually
part
when
of
you build up to
season,
the postseason.
yeah, where the games are more compact.
Yeah, it makes sense. But then you hear Wheeler talking about, he really dislikes anything more than 5 days. That's why I wonder how they're going to work this
You
out.
like skip, it's a
Wheeler gets his
complex
starts,
equation
yeah.
where you
Right.
skip.
Right,
You skip.
yeah.
Wheeler always gets his fifth
now
5
it's like we
days,
have
and then
three.
it kind of
Everyone
skips.
else gets an
like
extra
Wheeler
day.
and Nola, they're both very, very systematic with that.
Yeah.
I don't think Ranger would care.
Right.
He just seems like the cut
Just
guy.
shows.
Just
Right.
whatever. Yeah, just throw me out there whenever you need.
Nola had 2 days rest and had the worst game of his life. After
2 extra
London,
days
though.
rest. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk
But also,
about that.
yeah, you can give us a first hand.
Yeah, so going right into that, let's talk about our overall record: 53-27. Currently, best team in baseball again. But we were only 7-6 over the last 13 games, so just a game over 500 over the last 13 or over the past 2 weeks. It's really interesting because some fans would the Negadelphia fan, right, would go about that and say, look, we're only about a 500 ball club over the past 2 weeks, but at the same time, the Yankees are doing the same thing. The Guardians are doing the same thing. The Orioles are doing the same thing. Baseball is a tough game. It's a long season. And that was another big reason why stacking up all those wins early in April and May were huge for us.
Yeah, when we were on pace for 111 wins, it was like you can't lose back-to-back games ever.
Yeah, it
it's-
took a
yeah,
while
it's a
for us to
long
lose
year.
3 in a row.
Blame London. Blame London for this one. I'm with Ricky
Yeah,
Pacheco on that.
basically, and right now, let's go series by series. So when we last recorded, it was the night of the last game against the Red Sox. Tom and I went out for a drink and for dinner afterwards, and we decided to watch the game. Nola was pitching. We're like, oh, this will be fun. It wasn't so fun. And
So Dave is the guy that Nola is undeniably one of the best pitchers in Phillies history. His numbers are crazy. So you talk like ESPN loves them because they don't watch the games; they just look at the numbers. Dave watches every game, and Dave has a very interesting relationship with Nola because he has that inning where he gives up some. He's a frustrating pitcher to watch sometimes, but when he's on, he's on. So like this was the first time we recorded the podcast 2 weeks ago where it was before the game instead of after a game. And so we were like, all right, we'll go catch the game. We immediately decided afterwards we should never watch a NOLA game together again.
No,
it was
no, basically. So we're start of his career. I mean, I think you could.
Were you at that game? Because you went to Fenway right when they got back?
Yeah, I was at the first game after London. Tuesday night, I think it was.
Did Wheeler start?
Yes.
Wheeler started.
They won that game.
Yes, they did.
It
Yeah.
was the only game they won in that
Yeah,
series.
you went to the right one.
I did go to the right one.
Yeah, that one was good.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And I was shocked because they must have been so jet lagged.
Yeah, we thought there wasn't going to be a hangover, but it turns out
I know.
It's just Wheeler.
there was.
Yep.
That's what they're saying because there's obviously going to be a hangover. Like we swept the Cubs last year when they came back. So,
Yep.
but after that game, it was like, oh, maybe not. And then,
I know.
not so
yeah,
much.
and
Yeah.
then didn't go well after that.
How was it though? You on Eddie? I've never been to Fenway.
It was incredible. I can't recommend it. I've been probably been to 7 or 8 parks. That might be the coolest one. As far as like you just feel like you're walking back in time. There's no amenities. But you kind of don't need them. It's just like it's very cool. It's such a tight spot. It's like it shares
like
like
a
what
museum.
Wrigley has because you're in the downtown. You know, there's nowhere to go.
Did you go to the bar in center field?
The bar, yes,
Yeah,
I did.
Bleacher
Yeah.
bar. Yeah, my wife's a big fan of the stadium. She went to grad school there, so she always talks about it.
It's very cool, right? I
Camden
mean,
Yards
and I was there during BP actually at that bar, and they're launching balls over the monster, smashing car windshields of employees that are parked right there. And I'm asking the guy, I'm like, "Do you know when you parked?" He's like, "It's the risk you run. You can't find parking here. If you park there, that's the risk you take."
It actually like increases the value of your car in Boston.
Probably does. But I do recommend it. I
That's
mean,
cool,
it's
yeah.
a cool park.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my rounds more so recently. I got out to a few last year. I got out to the new Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
Which they built to seem old, it seems like.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. But
It is a little, New Yankee
Yeah.
Stadium's a little
But-
weird.
Yeah.
That's
in my
awesome,
opinion.
man.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, so Orioles series. Overall, we went 1-2, but
This is a big test. Very
big
good
test
team.
for us. Game 1, I was there Friday night. The atmosphere was amazing. It felt like a playoff game. It was probably 40-60 split between Phillies and O's fans. We were well represented there that night and throughout the weekend, really. And I think this was the best game of the year. And there were some news outlets and social media and some tweets out there that from Major League Baseball that also claimed that it was the best game of the season in all of baseball. And I couldn't agree more. Very back and forth. Schwarber led it off to start with a home run. Marchand had a home run to go up 2-1. And then Santander killed us all weekend. He had a home run in the 8th to tie it up 2-2. Eventually went to extras. And it was just so tight and electric the whole entire game. Get into extras, and it's one of those things where we talked about sometimes in extra innings we can't get the ghost runner in, and we finally did. And, of course, the O's, we looked like we held them, play at the plate, thought we got him out with Mullins. They reviewed it, called him safe, scored the run. We went to the 11th inning. Of course, right when we're going into the 11th inning, it starts downpouring. So we, unfortunately, the group that I was with decided to leave. So I had to leave with them. I would have stayed in the rain, but we left. But it was a great ending, too, with Bohm kind of breaking his slump, too, with that 2 RBI double that he had, too.
Yeah, that was nuts. Like you don't see the rain delay. It was late.
It was a
So,
long game.
Yeah.
Long game.
What did you think of Camden Yards, though?
Camden Yards is probably number 3 on my list. This is the first time I've been back there in about 10 years.
Yeah.
Not much has changed. Obviously they changed the park. They made it a little bit bigger since then, but it's a great ballpark too.
It is very nice, yeah.
That's an easy one to knock off. It's an easy drive. I wanted to get down for this one because, well, we won't play them in down there in 2 years again.
Yeah.
We'll have to take the trip, yeah.
Home and home
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, great game. And then game 2 wasn't so fun. Taiwan actually pitched well, but the bullpen kind of left it up in the 8th, and Santander kind of did his thing again. He had 2 home runs that game, and just he's a
Good
Philly
team.
killer. Good team.
Yeah.
In game 3, I was there again. I went back on Sunday with my wife and some of her friends. again, well represented. Wheeler pitched, thinking it was going to be a big pitcher's duel, but ended up being Wheeler's worst performance.
Yeah.
Probably ever, maybe ever, definitely as a Philly.
Blame England.
Yeah, we're still going to blame
I think
London
it was
here.
eight earned
Yeah.
runs, I think.
Eight earned runs, 4 home runs.
That was nuts.
He let up 4
Yeah.
home runs, Wheeler.
It just doesn't happen, yeah. This was, I love seeing Topper get ejected, though. That was, because it was necessary.
It was definitely not Larry. Well,
And this
that
was
was a
also-
lot of frustrations there.
Wasn't this also, I mean, there's this pretty much every game, but the calls were just outrageous, where the strike zone was bananas. I think there was 2 games in this series where it was like not only bad, but inconsistent.
Very
So
inconsistent.
that'll
And
frustrate him,
The call that
too.
he got thrown out on wasn't actually Stubbs didn't get hit. He got thrown out thinking that Stubbs got hit, but he didn't.
Okay, yeah.
But that wasn't the point. I was telling that to the people we were with. I'm like, this is honestly just, one, a lot of frustrations throughout the game, but also to kind of get the team energized and to have their back, because it's just been bad calls throughout. So it kind of just escalated to that point.
Sometimes as a manager, it's good to go get ejected. It's
Gotta
not.
do
Yeah.
it.
I love my favorite move is to kick the dirt on home plate. It's just so petty.
They don't do that anymore, do they?
Only like the rare few, like super.
Yeah,
Like,
the
is
old
there-
Tommy Lasorda
yeah.
stuff, you know.
Just
Have a
to
com-
make
have a
him-
complete
just to
meltdown
make
on the
him wipe
field.
it off, just kicking dirt.
What was also interesting is right after that, it was apparently Fleet Week down in Baltimore, and they had the flyovers going on right in the middle of the game, and it's so loud that they kept interrupting the game and the flow. And Fleet Week is great, all about that, but it was just like I was super frustrated because the game was frustrating, and I was getting mad about all the flyovers. I'm like, who in Baltimore planned this, where they're going to do the flyovers during one of their busiest weekends of the summer? They have a full house stadium, and they're deciding to do this and interrupt the game. But anyway, we lost, and I wasn't too happy, but I got over it pretty quickly.
I was starting to wonder if the pilots were actually just doing it for the people in the it seemed like that by the end.
Yeah, it kind of
They were
seemed that
doing
way.
climbs and all this crazy stuff.
Obviously, it's so loud, like you can't hear anything.
Couldn't
It's
hear it.
obviously a
They
huge
stopped the game at
distraction.
one point.
A couple times. It was
Yeah.
like 4 times. Yeah, it was weird. But I got over it quickly because we moved on to the Padres, where we went 2-1 against them. Game 1 won 9-2. So we came back.
That was the official start of Schwarbfest, right?
Yeah. And I think that
started a little later this year.
What, June 17th or something like that, 10 days ago? Yeah, official start of Schwarberfest.
I meant official as far as like he started playing like it.
Yeah, 2 home runs in that game, 5 RBIs
Yeah.
total. And then that was also Turner's first game back.
Okay.
Got another standing ovation, which was great to see. And he had 2 hits. Obviously played well. Bohm had 3-run home run. Marchand had 4 hits in that game. And it was good to be back. We had 18 total hits.
Yeah, get back in the winning series. Won 2 out of 3 with the Padres, and they're another good team. This is a tough stretch, so it was good. Like we said, all year, we haven't played anybody. Of course, we get the hardest stretch of the season right when we come back from London. Whoever made that schedule.
Yeah.
But go to Fenway and then to Baltimore. But I don't know. I didn't make the schedule.
that doesn't seem
But
right.
then come back home and kind of get right a little bit.
Yeah, in game 2 we won again, 4-3. I was at that game. I was going to games every other day at that point, it seemed like, or in reality it was. Nola had some great stuff. He had no-hit stuff up until about the 6th inning, and then he let up a 2-run home run, and obviously we've talked about this,
That
well
was just good.
documented,
That's
my
for you.
feelings on Nola. I was pretty frustrated because it's what it gets frustrating with me is that he pitches so well and has those glimpses of, like, he's going to throw a no-hitter. Like, he has great stuff today, and then all of a sudden you get a base runner on, 2-run home run. Base runner on, 2-run home run.
Were you at that game
what's
with him,
happening?
Meg?
Yeah.
Was the whole section like, why is this guy hating Aaron Nola so much?
No, it wasn't necessarily that bad. It was calmed down. But
Casty walk-off. Right?
yeah, Casty walk-off. We came back, we battled back, the Fightins fought, and in the 9th, we had 4 straight hits, starting with Harper, and that led right off to a Casty walk-off, and it's actually his 3rd of the season. So he's got
Because the
a
other two
knack
were
for the moment.
Back to back, the other two, I think. Yeah.
He's heating up for sure.
Dropped the 3rd game. Harper hit 2 home runs doing Harper things. Ranger pitched well. That was where his family was there. But yeah, they
Pitched in front of them first
didn't get the
time
win,
ever,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
a
that's
professional.
crazy. It was like visa issues.
yeah. It's pretty crazy, but they're going to be here for a while, so it's great that he's going to be able to play in front of them, and they're going to be able to see him.
Okay, but what happens if it's like an anti-Nick Castellanos effect, where Nick Castellanos started playing like Barry Bonds when his kids showed up? What if Ranger keeps losing when his family shows up? We gotta ban the family.
No, I mean, if it gets that bad, there are definitely going to be people from Philadelphia on sports radio talking about that. But
about those visas.
let's hope it doesn't get to that point.
No, I'm just kidding. Dude, his kid looked exactly like him. It looked like a shrunk
mini Ranger.
Shrunk Ranger Suarez.
Mini little Ranger, yeah.
All right, Diamondback series won this series as well, 2-1. Game weird. Series.
Good to win that series.
Weird series though, television wise.
Yeah.
In the game one, lost 5-4. It was on Apple TV. I was down the shore. I was having a hard time trying to find it. I was watching it through I was at this outdoor bar, watching it down the road at another bar at a big screen. So I was catching glimpses as much as I could.
Nice.
But it overall wasn't that great of a game. Taiwan had a bad game. It was right before he went out.
Right.
With his injury.
Yeah, so not a great start to that series, and made those next two games important. We did not want to lose a series to the Diamondbacks after the worst end. I'm still not over. We only needed to win one game in 2 home games to go to the World Series. But the Diamondbacks, Corbin Carroll's been having a terrible year. They've kind of taken a step back, which is weird. You kind of wanted to see them keep playing the way they were playing.
They're missing their 2 biggest horses right now, too.
Right.
Pitching-wise, which is, I don't know if that boosts them back up when they get those guys back or not.
We caught him at a good time because the pitcher they had in game 2 wasn't good. He had a 6 ERA going into that game, and then we beat him 12-1. So his ERA definitely took another beating that day.
Yeah, I was at the third game. That was the Sunday, the earliest game in the history of Citizens Bank Park, flexed to 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was cool. I appreciate it because I'm in section 204, so we were in the shade until the 7th inning, which was amazing because it was 100 or 95 degrees. But it was a good win. It was kind of wild to get back up here before 2-3 o'clock. But Sanchez had his best game of the year. Sanchez has been unbelievable, really solidifying himself. To have him as a fourth is
he's been so
insane.
good that he got a new deal. We'll talk about.
Right, that was right prior to this game.
Right before
I believe.
this game,
Yeah.
2 days before.
Yeah.
And the Tiger series that we just wrapped up, won that series as well. 3 consecutive series wins. Game 1, great game for us. Offense was playing really well, won 8-1. Best start of the game this season with 5 straight hits. Tom's knocking over bottles here at the boardroom, but nothing broke, thankfully.
A delicious pre-made cocktail.
So 5 straight hits to start the game. So that was a lot of fun to watch, and we went up 4-0 right off the bat, and we were at 4-0 there for a little while until we got out of a 1-3-5 triple play,
Right.
and that kind of turned the momentum back because they were threatening, obviously, at that point to obviously have a triple play, and that kind of turned the momentum back to us, and we kind of took it and ran with it. The 1-3-5 triple play is pretty crazy.
Yeah, was it first since 1929?
First in 95 years that a
Oh, the guy on third base
1-3-5.
did he think the ball hit the ground, you think?
That's what I was wondering.
But
and
was the third base coach sleeping?
I think the
isn't that-
third base
yeah.
coach may have told him to go because the third base coach might have seen it based on his perspective. It was either one. Either the player thought it hit, or the third base coach was like, go. And he sprinted to the home plate.
Right.
And that's why that 1-3-5 is so weird. It never really happens
So
because
weird.
it was a mistake by the base runner.
Yep.
And
You ever see the Mickey Morandini unassisted triple play?
The Mickey Morandini one.
Yeah.
I was
it
gonna
Mickey
bring.
Morandini?
I
I've
was gonna
heard of
bring
it,
up
but
the
I don't know
other
if I've ever
one.
seen it.
Who was it? Maybe I had the wrong
Iron
play.
Pigs boy, Bruntlett, the
It
444.
was Eric Bruntlett. You're right. You're right.
Morandini. I thought we were
No,
going
I
back.
think you're right. Bruntlett had as unassisted, right?
Yeah, he had the
Touched the
unassisted one
base, tagged the guy,
because they smoked
tagged
it
the
to him, and first and second were running,
Okay,
and
you're
so
right.
he caught it, tagged, and then the guy was just right there.
Morandini may have had one too. I don't
He
know.
may have, but I think you're right. It was Bruntlett.
Iron Pigs legend, Eric Bruntlett.
I have to say, The most surprising thing at the Baseball Hall of Fame is Bruntlets' jersey is in Cooperstown.
yeah.
At
For the honest
Baseball
assistant
Hall.
triple play?
Swear to God. I was walking through, I'm like, excuse me?
That's amazing.
Dude, big Brantlet fans.
I wish they would have had his Iron Pigs jersey right next to it.
I mean, that playoff run, too.
Iron Pigs legend Eric Bruntlett.
Or the pig hat they wear when they. Yeah.
I've actually never been to an Iron Pigs game. I need to get up there.
Dude.
I need to get up there. I'm a Red Barons boy. The Phillies affiliate when I was growing up was in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. So that was
You go for the bacon on the stick alone. It's worth the trip.
At the Iron Pigs game?
Yeah.
Bacon on a stick? Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, my
I didn't
God.
have that insider info.
It's
okay. Good to know.
It's
All right,
amazing.
we'll have to make a trip. All right. So game 2 lost 4-1. Thought it was going to be a Cy Young duel, which it was, a Ranger versus Scooball.
Yeah, because Scooball coming in, this was the game, like, he gave up, I think, 8 runs in his last, like, 10 innings. So it was like, all right, will he get back on? He pitched lights out. Yep. And, Ranger was a little off. It's a long season.
It's a long season.
Ranger will
He's
be
in a
fine,
little slump, but he'll be fine.
I'm not happy. Tim, Jeff over here, I watched your podcast on Tuesday where your dad, Tim Kirkchin, he suggested that Paul Skeens start the NL All-Star game. I just had to bring this up when we just mentioned this Cy Young duel. They're like,
I will say, it is by far the most irresponsible take my father has ever made. My dad will be 68 in December, and he is all about the numbers, right? He's all about the things. But for once, I think he was thinking about, like, what would be cool to see on Twitter.
He's caught up in the moment.
What would Livy Dunn think about it?
like Rangers having the best year of his life. He's the coolest story.
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe we should throw Paul Skeens out there because he's 22 and hot.
The funny story, correct me if I'm wrong, did Rangers start Monday night? Was that Monday?
Rangers started Tuesday.
Would that have been Monday?
It would have been one of the 3
Tuesday
pitchers that were the top 3
Tuesday
NL ERA leaders.
It was
So
Ranger
in the
versus Skubal,
podcast,
yeah.
we record Monday afternoon, and then we release Tuesday.
Great game or
That
what?
night, I said, well, you can't do that because the 3 top NL ERA
then
starting
he lost.
pitchers, and then they lost, so I had to go edit it at like 10 p.m. So I took out me defending Ranger because he wasn't it wasn't him, but it was one of the 3 pitchers that were in the top. So, yeah, Paul Skeens shouldn't start. Ranger Suarez all the way. We named my dog after him.
Skeens isn't going anywhere. Skeens can start next season. This is like to take that away from Ranger. I haven't disagreed with a lot of Tim Kirkchin takes, but I was like, man.
All right, back on track here. Let's just wrap up the series by series here. Game 3 against the Tigers, we won 6-2 last night. Turnbull was back as a starter. Pitched relatively well for 3 innings. And then he went out.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure what it was. It looked like his shoulder, but it was a lat. Looks like he's going to be out for 6 weeks.
It was good on him that he said in the post game. Yeah, he said in the post game like he felt it immediately and just called over. Like that's a smart play rather than try to pitch through it. He could be out for the rest of the year. So like that sucks though. I was looking forward to Turnbull being like, oh, I'm back to being the starter. He was crushing early in the season.
He was. He's just kind of run into a patch of bad luck, it seems. And then, but
Bullpen
good news,
stepped up though.
He did. The bullpen did step up. And the other good news here, Marsh lit it up yesterday. He was in a bit of a slump since coming back. Went 4 for 4 yesterday, a home run, 4 RBIs.
Yep. Bullpen, no walks in 6 innings.
It was a good game. All right, so year-over-year comparison versus last year. Last year at this time, we were 43 and 37. 6 games over 500. Wow. We are currently...
We crushed in June last
26 games over 500 right now. So, yeah, it's a big difference.
This
is the point last year where we turned it on again.
Yeah. But now the Mets are turning it on right now because of Grimace. We need to steal Grimace somehow. We need to get the Hamburglar.
Hamburglar first pitch next game.
Yes. Dude, you got the in. You got to get the
Bryan, can you get the Hamburglar to throw the first pitch?
We'll see what we can do. Nothing made me feel older than seeing people on Twitter going, who is that? The Grimace? Like a lot of people didn't know
the
who Grimace
toys when
was.
we were kids. You would get like Grimace all the time with like the chicken nuggets and things like that, and the box, and the bucket,
or the Playland where you crawled inside of the
great
Hamburglar.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
It's probably disgusting.
Oh,
yeah, that's where we got all our
I think-
illnesses. But that's why our immune systems are so good.
Yeah. I think Grimace might have had some bad habits.
All right, some other things of note real quick around this team so far. We actually have had 3 games where we've struck out 17 plus times in a 9-inning game and still won. We talked about the first 2. They were in the first week of May 1st, May 5th. But we just did it again on June 24th. We had 17 Ks and we won 8-1.
Yeah, I made a note of this just because like it's not that interesting, but it's only happened 3 times in Major League Baseball this season where a team has had 17 strikeouts and won, and all 3 have been us. But it's like if you're winning a game 8-1, whatever. But I'm glad that the 2 tail end of the Detroit series, like it's been a ton of small ball. Too many runners stranded on base. Yeah, not good to see that. But like, they were like the first thing is where they're hitting the ball and just like single. That's what got us 2022. I feel like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, and then just looking at, we talk about our pitching staffs and compare them to 2011 a lot. So the 2011 4 aces versus our top 4 in 2024. We don't have a fun name for them yet. Maybe we should come up with one. Looking at the comparison between the 2. This squad, this rotation, this Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Sanchez, top 4, is better in every major category. That includes starts, wins, ERA, Ks per 9, and Ks per walk.
Wow.
The only thing they didn't beat them in was complete games, which we kind of talked about. So they have some pretty electric stuff and pretty historic stuff from our standpoint. All right, quality.
If we were comparing though, like not to just be like, oh, 24 is so much better than 2011 because of these stats, but like I feel like you can't downplay that. Like it was the average of how deep they were going, because the late innings where you might give up that run and get taken out.
It could be.
I don't know. Yeah,
You can do the data analytics on that, Tom.
those guys were dogs. Yeah. Roy Halladay. Yeah.
All right, moving on to quality. Looking at it, we're looking at this a little bit differently than we usually do. We'll go dive deep into everybody's objectives here at the next show, which will be right around All-Star break time. So the way we're looking at this now for this episode, and I think we'll probably for a lot moving forward, is just looking at how we're doing over the past 2 weeks, and who are our top 3 performers, who are those in the green with a minimum of 25 at-bats, and then those that are in the bottom 3 with a minimum of 25 at-bats. And looking at this, we have Harper, Bohm, and Schwarber. I mean, the 3 players that you would want to see in your top 3 at any given time are those 3 players, especially from a payroll standpoint. But it's great to see them up here, and Bryce is absolutely killing it, especially over the last 2 weeks. Past 13 games, he's hitting 400. 22 hits, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 14 runs scored. And in June, he's hitting 384, 33 hits, 7 home runs, 15 RBIs.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Bryce Harper. We've gotten spoiled where Bryce Harper just does these things and people don't get excited, and then he'll have like one game where he doesn't get a hit, and all of a sudden, unnamed sports shows on Philly radio are questioning his devotion.
Yeah, they did that last week.
Crazy.
It was frustrating.
Crazy. But just a little backstory too. Like, so in the beginning of the season, we set goals because it's like the boardroom, like a corporate play. So we sat down with all the players in our heads. Not actually, they won't sit with us. Yeah. Maybe next year we'll sit down.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
We'll have one-on-ones.
But set like a goal. All right. So we'll try to break it down by quarter and things. So that's kind of what we're going off of.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah, and Bryce, like I said, he's just been killing it all season. He was also Player of the Month in May. He's probably going to be Player of the Month of June, taking the spotlight from Schwarber a little bit. But he's a top 10 in home runs, RBIs, average, walks, on-base percentage, and slugging in all of Major League Baseball right now.
He has better numbers right now than he did at that point during his MVP
2021
season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's wild.
Definitely, because he didn't turn it on in the MVP season until about now and through the rest of the season.
Pretty crazy.
So do you remember how fun that All-Star game was? Is he going to bring that? Is he going to come out with the American?
Oh, when he did the home run derby?
Yeah.
In 20.
But
when
he
was in the
brought
Nationals?
that energy the whole thing, not even just the home run derby. Yeah,
Because
that's
he's never played an All-Star game as a Philly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That
right?
one
nuts.
was in National Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah, but I feel like he's going to bring it. It should be fun All-Star game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
I didn't think that's crazy. Better numbers than his MVP year.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch, and he's going to just hopefully he keeps on the tear. And boom, he's going on another tear. He had one earlier this season, and then he kind of slumped a little bit. But he's ever since that game-winning hit in extras against the Orioles in Game 1 against them, he has been on a tear. He's hitting 364 over the past 2 weeks, 20 hits, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, 1 RBI per game.
That's crazy. Yeah, because that 8-run game, it was Harper had 5, he had 3. And then they also had to double play to each other. It's like these guys are just out there winning games by themselves.
He's at basically 1.5 hits over the past 2 weeks per game. And he's top 10 in doubles, RBIs, and hits. He's 9th overall with 92. And just to put it in perspective, Ohtani is first in the National League with 100. So not too far off.
Okay. And honorable mention then, if we're talking about hits per game, Castellanos put together a nice little hit streak. It was 7 games did it end at?
I think it was 7.
I think so. Sounds about right. Yeah.
He was swinging the bat well.
He has, and we don't have him on here, but he's definitely been way more consistent. He's been the player that we all expected him to be over the past 2 weeks, and hopefully he carries it on through the rest of the season.
I think him being in the 5th spot really helps him out too.
It does. And Liam being back at the ballpark and being out of school definitely helps.
Mayor's back. Yep.
Yeah.
School is not good for the Phillies.
Yep.
We need the kids out.
All right, Kyle Schwarber, rounding out the top 3 over the past 2 weeks. Schwarber has hit 294, which for him is
insane,
amazing, honestly. 15 hits, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. And he is in the top 10 of baseball in runs, walks, and strikeouts, which you'll get. You get to take the good with the bad.
I was going to say, those are all like real leadoff hitter numbers, except that maybe not strikeouts.
But his on-base percentage is .375.
Yeah.
Still, I think that's like 15th in baseball right now.
And and even with the strikeouts being high, it's crazy because he noticeably has been putting the ball in play more than what you would expect from him, which is like it's kind of crazy development in his game that you didn't really expect to see. But yeah, and he's
the king of walks. So he basically either walks or hits a home run. It's essentially what he's doing. But obviously he's hitting really well. To hit 294, I think his average is like 240 something. He's been playing really well this season. It's great to see. He should be an all-star. I think he's 3rd in voting right now. I don't think he's in 2nd, which would take him to the 1st round with fans. I'm hoping that he gets put in just in general after the fact because I think he really deserves it. But he's going against Ohtani and Ozuna for the DH.
Oh, yeah.
So tough competition, but I still think he deserves a spot.
If he doesn't get in, let him hit in the Derby. That'd be fun.
I think he should.
Yeah.
All right, the bottom 3 performers over the past 2 weeks. Again, minimum 25 at-bats. Definitely want to add that disclaimer here because we have some now bench players included in this, or some not everyday players. Edmundo Sosa, sorry, is hit a 233 over the past 2 weeks, 7 hits, 1 home run, and only 1 RBI. He was killing it for a while, but I think maybe with Trey coming back, not being in there consistently, is definitely taking an effect on him.
Don't like to see him in the boardroom. He was doing so well. And this was another take that came up. I saw it come up a couple times this week for whatever reason, where if there was like the NBA has a 6-man award, baseball should have a 10th man award, or whatever, DH, 11th man award. Yeah. And Sosa would be the guy right now. He stepped in that role, and we didn't even miss Trey Turner, who's top 5, top 10 player in baseball. Which is crazy, and he didn't have an error. I think like until we mentioned it on the podcast, and then he got an error that night.
That's how it works.
I guess slow down a little bit, but the whole next man up mentality, utility player.
It's probably a consistency thing. Who knows? Or just could be a little streak. But Stoddy's also not playing too well over the past 2 weeks. He's been in a slump for a little while now. He's hitting 217 over the last 2 weeks, 10 hits, 2 RBIs. Something that's pretty interesting here, though, he's already eclipsed his total in walks from 2022 and 2023. So he has the same amount of walks right now halfway through the season.
That.
Today is game 81, by the way. This is literally halfway point through the season. He is already at and eclipsing the amount of walks that he's had over the past 2 seasons. Now, 2022 was kind of limited because he didn't really start until Girardi got fired.
Right.
Because for whatever reason, Girardi didn't want to start him. Anyway,
But also on that note too, like he's getting on the base with the walks. His bat is gonna come back.
Exactly.
He's a guy that
he's putting it in play.
when
It's
the playoffs came around, Stott was the man. Like he wasn't scared of the lights. He's gonna, and his defense has been phenomenal still. And I think he had his 20th stolen base. Since then, he might have got 21, but I saw he got his 20th, and we're not even halfway through the season. So the guy's base running. I'm pretty sure he leads the team in stolen bases.
He does.
I could probably Google that, but it's far.
David Dahl, rounding out the bottom three. He's hit 207 the last 2 weeks, 6 hits, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. Again, I think it's probably a level of consistent play here and there. I think he right now, Pache didn't have he didn't meet our minimum of 25 at bats, but he is hitting better than Pache is too. So I think he is our best option right now in the outfield with Marsh and Casty, based off of the current situation that we're in. But hopefully he can bring it back on, and I fully understand all the rumors out there about bringing in a bat in the outfield. I definitely think it's going to happen, but right now this is what we have, and hopefully he can turn it on a little bit.
Yeah, and jump out to a lead, and then get Pache out there for defense. It's not the worst formula in the world.
It's not.
And Dahl's a likable guy. Like
He
it's
is.
Crazy.
I like him a lot.
There's no Kimbrels on this club anymore. Like there's not any guys that are like, oh God, this guy's coming up. Like even more, like Marchand coming up, the guy is coming. It goes a long way.
They're all very lovable in their own way.
That's what makes me worry when you see like Kyle Tucker rumors, because I hate that guy. But by all accounts,
You might be
cool
eating
guy.
your words, Tom.
By all accounts, he's a great guy. I think I just hate him because he was on the Astros and just like a giant smug guy.
Yeah.
That's probably just my bias.
He's a stud. Playing-wise,
stud,
it's going to take a
yeah.
lot.
I would gladly take
It's going
him.
to be a big haul of prospects, I think.
And our prospects are good.
I know.
They're playing well.
You probably also hated Bryce Harper at one point in your life.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Even 17-year-old Bryce Harper.
Yeah,
When he
okay.
when he was winking at pitchers.
All right, let's talk about some pitchers here. We have Suarez, Wheeler, Nola, and Sanchez to cover. Honestly, the best of the 4 over the past 2 weeks has been Sanchez. And just because of this 2-week performance, we submitted it to Dombrowski, and he's like, sign this guy long term. And he did.
I wonder, so he signed that deal on Sunday, pitched great. When does that hit his bank account? Is something, you know what I mean? Because if I all of a sudden I
It doesn't go in effect until next year.
Okay,
He has a
okay.
signing bonus, which
Extend-
I don't know when the signing
Okay,
bonus goes
okay.
into effect, technically.
It's my only worry. I'm sure he's way beyond that.
He's
yeah.
fine. But he's gone 2-0 over the last 2 weeks, 0.64 ERA, 9 strikeouts in those 2 appearances.
It's been crazy, and he's a guy that came up to eat up innings last season. So now I think he came up mid-July or early July. So he's given us a full year, and it's been I'm pretty sure his ERA is under 3 in a full year's work, which is crazy.
It is.
I might have to excuse my previous email. I'll check. It might be low 3s, but it's
Disregard.
It's
Disregard
very
the previous
yeah.
email. But yeah, just real quick,
But
Wheeler
the
and
guy's a stud. It's
great.
crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Because he had control issues in AAA where he couldn't find the plate. He walked like 100 batters.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because you stick him around Wheeler and Nola and Suarez. It's like it goes back to that Roy Halladay effect.
Yep.
I feel like Wheeler's demeanor just carries through.
Yeah.
And Suarez, I don't think
Did you
he
see
cares
that
about.
interview? He talked about Wheeler a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Sanchez did?
Yeah, how much he's learned from him and he wants to be like him. Yeah, you nailed it.
He's a good guy to model after.
Yep.
Speaking of Wheeler, he and Nola, we talked about it in the series by series. They both had blow-up games. The past 2 weeks, Wheeler has a 7.15 ERA, Nola 6.48. Obviously not where you want to be, but it was really just inflated because of those 2 games. The other 2 games that they both pitched, or actually Nola pitched 3 total, but the other games they righted the ship and pitched pretty well. For the most part, it was just really those outlier games for us. And then Suarez, it's been a little odd the past 3 games for him. He hasn't had a win. He's had 1 loss in that time, and the bullpen has kind of given it up a little bit. But still a sub-3 ERA, so he's pitched well. He's just kind of been in a little unlucky spots or had 1 bad inning here or there, but bound to happen. It's a long season.
Just got to blame London. Yeah. Flush it, as Jalen Hurts would say.
Flush it. All right, people. Moving right along. We talked about Mercado getting called up. we talked about him going initially into the pen. He pitched a couple days ago out of there. Now he's getting stretched out and getting ready to be a starter based on a Turnbull injury. But then also Johan Rojas. It was a little, I guess, bittersweet, I guess, for lack of a better word. Demoted to AAA. I like the guy. I want him to do well. I really do. But ultimately, it's tough to see him go down to AAA. But it's best for the Phillies. Best play for the Phillies. Best, and probably what's best for him, because I think he's been doing really well in AAA, and we got to get his bat right.
And by all accounts, it was pretty much the only option.
It was the only option.
Yeah.
It was the only option without completely losing a player.
Pache would have got snatched up. Dahl would have got snatched up. They were both playing well. So, yeah, they didn't really have any other options. Yeah.
It's a business, and that was the best move for the business.
Easily could come back and be center fielder. Come play. I mean, it's a long season. We'll see what happens, yeah.
And we talked a lot about moving the cost, Christopher Sanchez extension. So just to give a little details on that, $2 million signing bonus. So, Tom, whenever that hits the bank account, it's going to be nice and big. $1.5 million in 25, $3 million in 26, $6 million in 27, and it grows to $9 million in 2028, but with an option to go 2 more years up until 2030, going up to $14 million and then $15 million. Pretty good deal for him.
It's wild. Baseball contracts are so crazy that it's like $20 million, and it's like, oh, we're getting him for pennies. It'll be
it really is a bargain when you think about it.
It really is.
Basically, just securing him.
It's smart, because if he really blows up and
yeah.
keeps pitching like he is, price is only going to go up.
Because now that whole
Dombrowski's
aspect,
a smart man.
Yeah, that whole aspect of it is gone. Now you could just pitch. Yeah.
Locked in. The other note here that I just want to reflect on here was cost. When I was in Baltimore, we have it too as season ticket holders, partial season ticket holders, where you get a deal percentage off when you go for merch. It's 15% for us. I don't always remember that, but you go to the team store in the stadium, it's 15% off.
I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you know. For Baltimore, it's 25% off of merch, and then 20% off of food.
If you have any season ticket.
Season ticket plan.
Wow.
20% off of food.
That's actually pretty solid.
Think about that. You get a tall boy for $17. You get $3 off of that.
Beer counts as food?
I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer does count for food in some countries.
Oh, that adds up huge. Yeah. In some countries. That's actually a fact. That's a fun fact. Like you don't.
I don't know.
Beer,
I just and who knows? Maybe we do have it on food too. I've never asked. Maybe I will the next game.
One more thing on the people back cost. So we mentioned Turner real quick. Obviously, the guy's it might be an MVP season. It'd be sweet. We have the assets. We can move. We also have the best record in baseball, I believe, as of recording. I know it's been back and forth with the Yankees. What moves do you see out there, or would you like to see? What do you think is possible? As you're dialing up 90s hits on the organ.
I'm very qualified to
a lot
make
of
this,
ace of base.
That's right. I mean, I feel like it could go either way, and no one would be surprised. They could do absolutely nothing, kind of like the off season, which we were all like screaming, and then look at the season we're having. Or I could see them adding a bullpen arm and an outfielder.
Those are the two holes that we have, quote unquote.
I mean, Soto and Sir Anthony have, their confidence, I think, has struggled a little bit. Maybe they'll get back to where they were before the playoff time. But the other thing that's crazy is we keep hearing about our farm. Our farm is like stronger than it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like
top 10 now.
Do you want to give that up?
How much do you want to give up? These guys.
We are also in win now mode. So
we are. But then I'm like, again, back to Negadelphian, but Harper's not going to play forever. Turner's not going to play forever. I'm like, I like to see some. You don't want it to end,
JT's like showing age for the first time.
Totally.
The thing is, we're in win now mode like we were in the late 2000s, right? 2011. But the problem with that is we mortgaged everything.
Yeah.
We got rid of everything, and our farm system didn't recover for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So we do have to be aware of that. I don't think anybody wants to do that again, where we're in win now mode, but we also got to toe the line of keeping a good farm system, because you never know. You don't want to keep having these major rebuilds for years and years and years, right?
Yeah.
Don't want to take a page out of the Sixers book.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I got faith in Dombrowski.
Yeah. You can't not have faith in Who knows? It could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
In Dave, we trust, right?
That's right.
You? Dave?
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about myself. Talking about myself.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be. I'd be talking like an idiot if you weren't here. Like, I would have no form or function. And Dave,
All right.
and Dave and Jeff, we trust.
Let's look forward a little bit. So the next time we record, we're gonna stretch it out. If we recorded every 2 weeks, which we do usually, we would be right in the middle of the right at the end of the Dodgers series. Right, it'd be July 11th, the night at Ashburn Alley for Phillies Maestro Bryan Anderson to be playing out there. But we're gonna stretch it out another series with the A's and go right into the All-Star break. So we have 16 games between now and the next time we record, or really 16 games between now and the All-Star break. Really bookended by two of the worst teams in baseball. We have, and it just went off. First pitch just went off about 2 minutes ago against the Marlins. 4-game series with them, and then we end it right before the All-Star break with a 3-game series at home against the A's. But right in the middle of that, Tom,
It's a tough stretch.
it is a tough stretch.
Yeah.
The Cubs are in the middle of that. They're not playing as well as they did at the beginning of the season, but still a tough team.
Good team, and we're going out there July 4th weekend. Chicago's going to be drunk and loud.
That's my number 2 stadium.
I know. My cousin's going out there. I'm jealous. Yeah. Cousin Bob's making it out. He's not going to listen. He won't hear this.
Tell him to. Shout him out.
But no, that would be a lot of fun. So, like, that's like one of those holidays. That's going to be a tough one. But if we can steal them, that'd be huge.
Then we fly on down to Atlanta, which would be another reason why we need to get that series, because that's
Yeah.
obviously going to be tough, especially down in Atlanta.
Another weekend series.
Weekend series down there. It's
Yeah.
going to be bumping. They're going to be electric down there. We all know it's going to be a playoff atmosphere. And then we come home against the Dodgers, July 9th, 10th, and 11th. That is going to be quite a series, quite a test. That is going to be a 100%. The bank is going to be bumping. It's going to be bedlam down there, as some would say.
It is by far the biggest. I mean, it's crazy that it's following an Atlanta series. We're saying it's the biggest series of the season by far. Like, it'd be nice to get a little revenge on Atlanta for what they did to us early. They're the only ones who got us really that good. But, yeah, it's us and the Dodgers in my mind. Like,
That week's going to tell us a lot. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Tough series.
All right. And
And
then
get right with Oakland.
Yes.
They don't even want to be in Oakland.
No, they
Yeah.
don't.
time for a little fun now as we round out the show. And we've had a lot of great guests here with us today. Thank you. I know it's been a little bit of a longer show, but we want to have some. Thank you. Some Phillies trivia out there. So we also have some great giveaways. Some canned cocktails here from Boardroom Spirits, as well as some bottled, ready-to-drink cocktails. So
And Chris from Boardroom is right here. So if we say it's a giveaway on the podcast, he has to honor it. We're giving away
it means it's happening.
a new car.
Hey, Chris, you're eligible to participate as well. So you can put it right back in the fridge if you want. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, it's going right back in the fridge.
Yeah. All right, couple questions. So the first one we have here, so we'll do it this way. First one to raise your hand with the answer.
And Twan, relax, because this.
Yeah.
I know
we
you got.
We don't have a buzzer. We don't have a buzzer. First one to raise your hand gets to answer first. Okay. Kyle Schwarber recently passed Babe Ruth and now holds the record for fewest at-bats per home run in June, in the month of June, the entire month of June. He is now number 1 on that list. He passed Babe Ruth he was number 2. Which former Philly is 4th on that list? Hint, he is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Is in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
This is actually really fun trivia question. So this.
Jim Thome. Yeah. Jim Thome. Take your pick. Good thing I called you eligible.
Chris from the Boardroom is fighting against giving away anything. Yeah.
All right.
Great guess.
Yeah, that was a great answer. Well, I don't want to guess. He knew that. He was confident. With his
I heard Jim
I don't
Thome.
know. Yeah, maybe. All right. Next question here, Tom. You want to do this one?
Okay, and this He might have been listening. Oh, no, we didn't get this way. So, Phillies home run derby history. Let's go just to this side of the room. And the Maestro. So, the Phillies had back-to-back champs in 2005 and 2006. Can you name both players?
For the home run derby. Home run derby crown.
05 and 06?
05 and 06. Yes, sir, in the back.
Bobby and Ryan.
Yes.
I think it was Bobby and
Bobby
Ryan.
Abreu, Ryan Howard.
Wow.
He
Would you
caught,
like
caught them by their first names. It
Would
threw
you
me
like
for a loop. Or
Yeah,
Bob
Bobby.
was it Bob and Ryan?
As in Bobby Abreu. $10 gift card. Can we do that, Chris? We go? $10 gift card. Yeah, take the Moscow Mule too.
All right, and then last one here. Everybody's eligible, even producer Jeff, and especially our special guest, Phillies Maestro Bryan Anderson. This is around Phillies All-Star Game history as we're getting geared up for that in the next couple of weeks. We talked about this already. It's very likely that Ranger Suarez will be not only an All-Star but the starting pitcher for the National League. Tim Kirkchin may have something else to say about that, but we think that it's going to be Ranger Suarez.
He loves Paul Skeens. Big Livy Dunn guy.
Anyway, it's going to be Ranger. Knock on wood. Who was the last Phillies pitcher to start the All-Star game? Halladay. That was quick.
Yeah.
Roy Halladay, last Phillies pitcher to start the All-Star game. Good job.
Here's
Take
a
your
little
pick on this lovely table of assorted boardroom spirits.
Here's one I think you'll get. I think one of you three will get. We named 2 Phillies triple plays. Give me another. Brauntlet. I already gave that. Yes, the last week.
Tom and I were talking about this. Like, I don't know if
This
a lot
guy-
of
this
fans
guy
know
got
triple
called
play
up
history of the Phillies.
and still holds records for hitting the most home runs in his first month being called up. Set off this double play.
Reese Hoskins?
He set it off. I still remember. It was Hoskins caught it and he scooped it and like scraped it across the ground, so nobody thought he caught it because he dropped it. I don't know. I still remember it. Do you remember that play? So he threw it in after he picked it up, and they ended up reviewing it and still giving him the triple play.
Wow.
But it was right in the middle of when he was like going insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought.
Honestly, Tom, I thought that was a question for like Stump the Schwab. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that was a super hard
You're a
question.
Hoskins guy. I thought you would have remembered that.
I didn't
so
remember
yeah.
that at all. I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember much, but for some reason,
That's what sticks in the
Yeah.
brain. That's the only thing that's turning up there for Tom.
just Hoskins controversial
Hoskins
plays.
trivia. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for sticking with us, and I hope you enjoy it while you're listening. We had a hell of a time doing it here at the Boardroom in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Bryan for joining us, special guest.
Thank you.
Make sure you go to the game on July 11th. He'll be out there playing in Ashford Alley. It'll be a lot of fun. And looking forward to the next 16 games leading into the All-Star break, Tom.
Yeah, go Phils.
Go Phils.